delicious Singapore hawker food at Hong Lim Food Centre. Welcome to another food adventure with Getting Lost. Today we are doing part 2 of our ultimate food guide to Hong Lim Food Centre. Food Centre with history and lots of delicious good food. And in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to show you some of the iconic dishes that makes Hong Lim Food Centre a popular food centre that is loved by many people. So join me after the intro and I will show you. Welcome back, and we are at Hong Lim Food Centre to do part 2 of our ultimate food guide to Hong Lim Food Centre. And here at this food centre, there are some stores that if you mention Hong Lim Food Centre, people immediately think about these foods. And in this video, I will actually show you what these foods are and the food there and the delicious food that you can find, and not only those iconic dishes from this food centre, I will also show you other foods that you must try, that you should try when you come to this food centre. And one of the iconic dishes from this food centre is this shop here called Outram Park Fried Kway Mee. And if you mention to anybody about Hong Lim Food Centre, people will mention about this stall. And this stall sells a favourite Singapore dish which is called fried kway teow or char kway teow. And here, what you can do is you can come here to have the fried kway teow. But if you come during lunchtime, be prepared to line up like I did here, and it will cost you $4 for a plate. And what you do is when you come here, join the queue and wait. One of the aunties will come out to come to you and ask you for your order and make payment, and then once you reach the front of the line, collect your char kway teow. What you get is a very well fried plate of noodles. As you can see, they use 2 types of noodles here. First of all, the kway teow, which is a flat rice noodle, and then a mee, which is the egg noodles. And when you bite into the char kway teow, you can actually taste the different textures of the noodles they use in this dish. I also heard that they also use 1.5 eggs for each plate of noodles. And don't get me wrong, these noodles does taste eggy, and also has a nice seasoning to it that makes it savory and spicy at the same time. And when you're eating the noodles, you sometimes bite into chunks of pork lard and also very cooked cockles, which gives it a very nice clammy taste, which goes very well with char kway teow. What makes people come back here for more is the way they cook the noodles. The egg, the savoriness, the spiciness all goes into the noodles, and even though the dish does look dry, it's not wet, but it's still nicely moist and has a very comforting feel to it. And when you look at your plate after you finish all the noodles, you'll notice that the plate is dry because all the egg and all the flavoring has actually been absorbed into the noodles or stuck into the noodles, and helps to flavor every single mouthful you eat of this char kway teow. Another iconic dish at this food centre, Hong Lim Food Centre, is curry chicken bee hoon noodles. two shops actually sell this iconic dish, one on the second floor and one on the first floor. At the end of last year, Hong Lim Food Centre was actually renovated and recently it reopened, and to my surprise, there are actually two Heng curry chicken noodle shops. This one here is the one that recently moved in, and the prices of the dishes are the same. And as you look at them, I don't think that they are very friendly to each other, and they are actually in competition and not very happy to have a neighbor. And they are just right next to each other. This one here is the older store, the one that's been here, more established store. And most people, when they come here, they will come to this store to eat. And so this store here does have a very long queue, whereas the newer store, no queue at all. So this place here, price the same, and I actually tasted noodles from both shops, and I can tell you this thing, they both use the same recipe to cook the noodles. Yes, use the exact same recipe, so it tastes almost exactly the same. Okay, so the one on top is actually the older store. The one at the bottom is the newer store. So as you can see, the dish looks almost exactly the same because it is basically the same. It first of all has a very good chicken broth base use. It has a very nice clean chicken flavor, very savory, delicious, with a slight, if I'm not mistaken, preserved vegetable aftertaste. Then you have the ingredients, which is the Hainanese chicken, then the Teow pork, which is the tofu, and then the noodles. The one I chose was thick bihun, which is thick rice noodles. So what you have is you have a very nice, delicious, flavorful curry chicken broth with ingredients inside, which is nicely balanced, but nothing really stands out. If you want it to be more spicy, you can actually put in the sambal into the noodles. So which place would I go to eat? The more established store, the soup tastes almost exactly alike, just that it is slightly more spicy, and they also cook the noodles and potatoes slightly better, but they are less generous with the Hainanese chicken and the noodle portion. The newer store, one thing going for it, there is no queue. So when you go there and order, you can get your food immediately, and they are more generous with the portions of chicken and noodles. So for me, I would prefer, for the same price, for something that's almost exactly the same, I would go to the newer store. If I had a choice to have any curry chicken bihun noodles at Hong Lim, I would actually prefer to come to this store here, which is on the first floor, called Heng Kee. And this store here is another store with long queues, because a lot of people do come here and order big orders for takeaway. So this place here is always very busy, and they only open for lunch. So after lunch, when they sold out, they will close their store. So this place here, I don't get to eat it as often because, first of all, there's a long queue and limited operating hours. What we have here is Heng Kee's curry chicken bihun noodles. I know it doesn't look as good as Heng's, but you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, because the noodles here, this dish here, tastes much better than how it looks. First of all, the soup stock here, the base, is very similar to the one you get at Heng, but slightly more flavorful. You get the same, a very good chicken broth, nice clean flavors, very savory, very delicious, very flavorful, and with a slight preserved vegetable aftertaste. Then you also have lots and lots of ingredients here, and they are also very generous with their noodles and also the ingredients. And the owner actually individually picks up the ingredients to be put into each bowl. Also, the soup stock actually is absorbed into the ingredients better here. So the Teow pork or the tofu, and you also have the noodles, absorbs the soup stock here much better than Heng's noodles. And if you're at Hong Lim Food Centre, you come early and you're not a rush for time, you have to try this dish because this is one of the signature dishes of this food centre, and this place makes it very, very well. Up next, we are going to this store here called Tai Wah Pork Noodles, and this store is actually related to the one Michelin star hawker food store at Crawford Lane. Yes, somehow they are related. And here I'm going to try the pork noodles here and try to compare it to the noodles dish I ate at Crawford Lane. So to do that, what I did was I actually ordered the $10 portion of this noodle. When you try to eat pork noodles, you come here, most of the time at these stores, you'll notice that there's actually a queue. Normally there's a queue is because there are a long process of steps, for them, the owner or preparer of the food needs to do to prepare the dish properly for you. Okay, so they need to prepare the noodles, wait for the appropriate time, and then also the other ingredients also when they cook, also cook at different timings. So they need to do all this together, and when they do that, they normally prepare your dish as you order it. So they prepare one dish at a time. Okay, so let's get to the noodles. So this, I paid $10 for this noodle. I chose Mee Kia, which is tin egg noodles. Here, the noodle texture was okay, but I felt that the amount of noodles they give is slightly more generous than the one at Crawford Lane, and the taste is different. Here, you do not get a very strong vinegar taste. They still use the same vinegar. The fragrance is there, just that it's more of a background taste, and what you taste more of when you eat the noodles is the sambal they use. And then you also have a nice bowl of soup filled with lots of ingredients. Here, generous amount of ingredients, all the ingredients cook well, especially the dumpling. The dumpling, even though the skin is thick, but it has a very nice meaty feeling to it, which is very delicious. So here, ingredients cooked very, very well. Noodles, alright, okay. Taste-wise, slightly different. Here, as you can see, once you mix all the noodles, the sauce that you saw earlier on the plate was actually absorbed into the noodles. So all the flavor from the vinegar and the chili all went into the noodles. So if you want to compare this dish to the one at Crawford Lane, I would say that they use the same ingredients, just that they have a different flavor profile. The one at Crawford Lane has a more vinegary, delicious vinegary fragrance and taste, whereas here it has a more sambal taste, more chili sambal taste to it as compared to the one at Crawford Lane. And now we are heading to another corner of Hong Lim Food Centre. This one here is on the first floor. And on the first floor, in the middle of this row here, you'll find this shop here called Fang Sotong Ball Seafood Soup. And here, they actually made sotong ball, fish balls, meatballs in this store itself, handmade, and then put into soup to make seafood soup. And here it is. So these are the prices of the soup itself. If you want it to have with rice and other ingredients noodles, you need to pay a bit extra more. But first of all, what you get is you get a nice hot bowl of seafood soup. And then you have also handmade meatballs, sotong balls, fish balls, all done very nicely. All has a very good flavor to it, all has a nice bite texture to it, all handmade at the shop, all delicious, all yummy, all waiting to be eaten by you into your tummy. Yeah. With, of course, some vegetables, some cabbage or lettuce for healthy reasons. But still a very good soup with balls. And another very popular store during lunchtime is this shop here called Kee Sah Hor Fun. And here they sell different types of hor fun, but what is very popular here is their crayfish hor fun. But the crayfish hor fun here will set you back $10. But what you get is, you get hor fun, which is flat rice noodles together with a mild starchy seafood sauce, which they drench over everything. And they also give you 3 halves of a crayfish, some prawns, some vegetables, and some deep fried onions. So the sauce, this hor fun, is nice, soft and tender, and goes very well with the mild starchy seafood sauce. But what I must say is, for hor fun, just the noodles and prawns itself, $10 is a bit expensive. But since you add in the crayfish, $10 is just a okay price for that. But I would prefer the starchy sauce to be slightly more flavorful, but that is my preference. And finally, we're at this store called famous Sungei Road Trishaw Laksa. And here they sell 3 types of noodles. One mee rebus, one mee siam, and then laksa. The mee siam here, they actually cooked the mee siam together with fruit juice to give it. What people come here to eat is actually their laksa. You can actually have it together with crayfish, but I decided not to eat it with crayfish. So here is the laksa. The laksa comes together with sambal and laksa leaves, we can see on the spoon there. What you do is you need to mix it into the noodles. So the noodles will come with tau pork, which is tofu, you have bean sprouts, rice noodle, you have cockles, and then one thing surprising they have here is actually chicken. Yes, they actually use chicken in the recipe here. So all the ingredients here are nice and fresh, and also very flavorful, goes very well. But what's important about laksa is actually the laksa broth. The laksa broth here is very good, very flavorful, but I suspect they actually purposely make this laksa less coconutty than other places to separate themselves from other places. Here the laksa is not so coconutty, but still very delicious, still very flavorful, still very nice. If you like laksa, you should come here and give it a try. And so finally, this brings us the end to our ultimate food guide to Hong Lim Food Centre. I've shown you all the delicious good foods that you have to eat if you come here to Hong Lim Food Centre. If you can do it, I would suggest you to eat all of them at one time. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me for my food adventures. I hope you have been enjoying yourself like I've been enjoying myself eating all the delicious good food. And before we go, lastly, can I just ask you for a favor? Please help me by liking my video, sharing my video, and subscribing to my channel. And lastly, but the most important thing, the thing that you must do is to join me for my next adventure. Until then, bye bye.